Cocoon Spawn Girls, Chapter 18. I awaken once more in my room. It looks exactly the same as every day before, but in my heart, I can feel something is different. The events of yesterday play out in my mind again. I just can't stop myself from replaying the moment Marzia whispered an apology into my ear as she took off and disappeared. If she understood she was going to hurt us, then why did she do it? What was it that made her go with that spawn girl? What could she have threatened Marzia with to get her to do that? I can't accept that Marzia would go all on her own. After she disappeared, a medical team arrived to treat Tiki. She had cauterized her own arm to stop the bleeding, but it still needed to be properly looked at and bandaged. Once they had done their thing with her, they gave Clarice and I checkups as well. While they looked us over, more MGI vehicles arrived on the scene, some cleaning rubble, others here to collect the giant spawn we had defeated. Miss Gretchen took us back to our office. No one said a word on the drive back. Making it back to our dorm room, I collected my pajamas and entered into the showers. I stood below the scalding water staring at the floor. I still couldn't stop myself from imagining what-ifs. What if I had said something? No. Nothing I could have written could have done anything. My voice, maybe. But once again, the curse upon me keeps me from the things I want. What if I'd grabbed onto her and used all a fool's knight's strength to never let go? Could she have fought me off? As water runs over my body, as it runs down my shoulders and down my arms, it flows off my uninjured fingers. All that punching and the gloves had actually protected me from actually getting hurt. Was I actually punching full strength? Surely if I was trying my hardest, I would have surpassed the limit and hurt myself. Perhaps if I'd tried harder, Marzia wouldn't have been able to get away. That girl, Aurelia, just who is she? Her power is so frightening. I can't ever imagine she could have been a magical girl. The way her words hit me so deeply, I truly felt like the moon was staring at me without eyes to speak of. But she was also able to heal herself. Talk about not fair. What was the connection between those two feats? I need answers, but how could I possibly get them? I was so tired at the time I ended up just returning to my room and collapsing in my bed. Now in the morning, with a fresh mind, I felt more ready to find my own answers. What I hadn't thought of last night was how Declarina had known about the serious mission we were going to be assigned. No. More so, she even knew about Aurelia being there. That brown giant might have been big, but he posed no real problem for Clarice and I, let alone all four of us. She must have been referring to Aurelia when she told me there'd be an S-rank threat. I need to go back down to that strange floor of hers and talk to her. I slided out of my bed and flung my pajamas off. I pulled out new underwear and picked out my outfit for the day. I shook a pill out from my pill container and took it. I still need to attend the morning meeting, but after that I should be able to try and find Declarina's floor. Exiting out of my room, I found a note had been taped to my door. Morning meeting canceled today. Well, that's just perfect then. No need for me to even worry about that then. I walk over to the elevator and begin trying to remember how it is I make her summon the elevator for me. I tried knocking on the elevator doors to see if maybe that would get her attention. Nothing happened. I walk along the wall, feeling for the hidden door hiding the phone in the wall. I find it and pull the phone off of its receiver. I hold it up to my ear, but all I can hear is static. I don't know her number, so it isn't like I can call her. Last time I was pretty huffy, so I kicked the door a lot. Maybe I should try that again? I do end up kicking the door a couple times, but there isn't any sign of anyone noticing. I turn around and start walking back down the hallway defeated. I don't know what I want to do now. What are we supposed to do after all this? I pass by Marzia's door. I want to believe she's still right there on the other side. I hope wherever she is right now, she's at least safe. I won't wish any harm on my friend. I won't let her seeming betrayal come between us. There's a click from behind me. I turn to see Marzia's door has opened. All of the doors are the same, locked without fingerprints. And yet for some reason Marzia's door opened itself. I don't look a gift horse in the mouth. Getting to investigate inside Marzia's room is more than enough of a lead. I push the door open, half closing it behind me. Stepping inside the dark room as I reach for the light switch, finding it in the same spot where mine is. The lights come on, and I'm greeted by a simple room. Her bed sits against the far corner of the room, and facing it is a decently sized TV. She has a wardrobe which is open, displaying its collection of assorted clothes, underwear hanging off the top of the open door, tossed there seemingly lazily. There's some books piled in the other corner, and there's a pile of bags beside them. One is a shower bag, another is a makeup pouch, a third is some running clothes and a stopwatch. I look over these items as I sit down on her bed, taking in any clues. I then spot in her nightstand a picture frame, but it doesn't feature a photo. Inside is a sketch of 4 people. A tall boy with 2 smaller boys hanging and clinging to him. On his shoulders sits a small girl, hugging his head. I pick up the photo and examine it. I'd almost say the little girl looks like Marzia, but that doesn't make sense. Or maybe it does, actually. Something Marzia had said to me a few days ago popped into my head. She had mentioned when we were leaving Madeline's that she was good with kids due to some of her past life experience. Could the tall boy in this photo be Marzia, and these kids be his siblings? I can't help imagining a sad scene of Marzia, recently turned into a girl, frantically sketching her loved ones as the memories fade from her memory more with each passing day. If I have siblings, I sure don't remember them now. I must not have had any. I want to imagine if there were other people I cared about, I would have remembered them a bit better otherwise. I place the photo back down carefully. I can't be snooping and damaging Marzia's possessions after all. Thinking of kids, where was Marzia's flip phone? She had one. She mentioned she was going to use it to call Madeline when they were watching whatever the kids' show was called. I turn over baskets and bags, dumping contents across the floor searching, and yet I come up with nothing. Could she have had the flip phone on her? Why would she have brought it with her into combat? She couldn't have known she would be leaving, right? No, it had to be here. Or rather, it was here. What if someone had taken it before I got here? When I heard the door click and saw it was open, I just imagined for mysterious reasons the door was open. In my heart, deep down, I figured that was Declarina's doing. She seemed to have control over the building, so being able to open doors didn't seem that surprising. But what if she didn't open the door to let me in, but opened it to let something out? What if she had sent a spawn to retrieve the flip phone because Marzia wanted it, and Declarina is somehow connected to all of this? I begin searching the room again. This time, not for the phone itself, but for anywhere Marzia might have written down her number in case she'd forgotten it. If I could find it and call it using the hall phone, I might be able to reach either Declarina or Marzia. I dug around in her wardrobe and everything with drawers. I dump out bins and I shake out books in case there's anything inside them. Finally, I came across a small piece of plastic, which was a phone card. It listed the phone number for the card. This has to be it. I race down the hall and back to the section of wall where the phone is. I feel around until I've got the door open and pick the phone off the receiver again. I slide my finger across the turn wheel, dialing up the number listed, and then I eagerly await to see if it worked or not. There's silence only disturbed by the dialing sounds, and then the sound of my heart beating out of my chest. And then there's a click. Seriously? Is the first thing the voice on the other side says. I still can't use phones, so I just make a snapping sound with my hand and do finger guns at the phone. The person on the other side nods. 1 second, I'll send the elevator, you nosy girl. Yep, that's Declarina all right. I hang the phone up, pocketing the phone card in case I ever need it again. I close the box and make my way over to the elevator. Doors open as promised, and I step inside. Down we go, deep into the secret basement even MGI seemed unaware of. The doors part, and I step out into the dark hallway I'd seen once before. I come to the turn, then enter into the opening where Declarina is waiting for me, her chains dragging across the ground as she paces. I step into the light, and we wave a greeting. She stops her pacing and looks over to me. Sophia, this is really not the time to be playing games and such, but I do appreciate the effort you went to. I withdrew my whiteboard from my bag. Where's Marzia? Are you connected to this? Declarina gave a light chuckle. Jumping right in, are we, huh? She scratched her nose. Yeah, I have no idea where Aurelia is right now, but Marzia is wherever she is. You took her phone! You plan to give it to her, right? I won't deny that, but right now I don't know where it's going. How will they tell you? You're really planning to interrogate me, huh? Declarina cracked her neck. It's an Aurelia special. She's got tricks, you see. Paranoia, honestly, much. She brought one of her arms up to her chest, gliding it out over her shoulder. As her hand approached, long, thin, black-looking rods raised from behind her and from her hair. I took a step back as a tiny spawn emerged from under her hair. It must have been lying on her back this whole time. It walked into her palm. I then noticed it had a flip phone tied to it. Declarina raised her hand out to the side. The spawn began to walk down her arm, returning to her shoulder and back into her hair. Tell me, Sophia, how do you think she's going to tell me? Your puzzle pieces are this spawn, her powers, and me and my powers. I thought about it for a moment. Declarina can talk and communicate with Spawn, and Aurelia has this thing with the moon. But how can any of that be used to set up a meeting place? I make my best guess. You both send Spawn to go to a specific place. Then they talk, and yours comes back to tell you where she is? Declarina shook her head, seemingly really disappointed. Honestly, that was a terrible guess, Sophia. I told you it was an Aurelia special. A method that only used my powers would be my special, obviously. I also point out that Aurelia can't make Spawn do what she says, so there's no way for her to command one. Just tell me the right answer then. I stopped my foot. She was the one who said there wasn't time for games, yet look what she was doing. Declarina rolled her eyes at me. Fine. The secret technique is that this Spawn here is under her moon curse. That means that when it goes outside, where the moon can see it, it can be told where it needs to go with the cell phone. She shifts her stance. Of course, the moon can't make it go there, but the Spawn can retain the info it was given inside its head from the moon. Then I just command it to go to that place. Complicated and simple at the same time, don't you think? I admit it was a method I would have never thought of. So when do you see Aurelia? Declarina chuckled. Yeah, well, we met once like a year ago. Since then, we've never met. I stare at her, dumbfounded by what she said. What do you mean you've only met her once? Declarina grinned at me, leaning forward in a way I can almost see down her raggedy top. Did you forget about the curse on me? I can't go anywhere with these chains on. She laughed. I'm certainly working with her, but only as a command center sort of thing. I dispatch some Spawn for her and occasionally leak some info. Why are you working with her? I don't understand any of this. Well, because we're both fallen magical girls, I guess. Plus, it's in my best interest to support the person who has the greatest chance of one day defeating the girl who put these curses on me. But then why would Marzia go with her? She wasn't fallen. She was doing fine on our team. We were just getting started. I felt like tears would begin flowing any minute. She just sighed again. I've told Aurelia about some of Marzia's issues, so she did have some understanding of the sorts of things she needs to say to win Marzia over, and she stopped as my hand suddenly was around her throat, Fool's Night surrounding me as my anger boiled over. She kneed me in the stomach, which knocked me backwards since I hadn't been gripping her that hard. She coughed. Yikes, calm down, Sophia. Jeez. She rubbed her throat as I got back up. Look, I only let her know about how Marzia wasn't all that loyal to MGI and was the type clinging to her old life. Aurelia knows what it's like after all. Tell me, why shouldn't I just leave and report to MGI you're down here? Declarina squinted her eyes confused. What are you talking about? The same reason you didn't last time? Or the time I called you on the phone? Or how about because they surely know I'm already around here somewhere? MGI knows they left me to die down here. They just might not have imagined I'd be able to supply myself with enough of that delicious chemical you and I adore so much. But even then, they knew I couldn't really ever leave again. How can that be? I scribble. How do I get my chemical? Mostly stealing pills from you girls, or cannibalizing some of my spawn. I do on occasion eat chunks of magical girls if they end up accessible to me. Mostly bloody rags and small things. That is so gross. I write it to make sure she knows. That is so gross. Hey, I mean, obviously I don't enjoy it. I do what I must to survive. She shrugs. I feel sick of talking to Declarina. I don't remember anymore why I thought this was going to be helpful. I'm leaving. Tell Marzia I want her to come back. Oh, Declarina chirped up. Before you leave, let me warn you about something. I don't need another one of your warnings. I scratch into my board, thrusting it at her. This one is part of what Aurelia let Marzia know. I was meaning to tell you as well, but then you asked me 50 stupid questions and such. I stop in my tracks, turning around to hear her out. Go ahead. Declarina cleared her throat, building suspense. I was alluding to it the other day on the phone, about how important this fight was with Aurelia and that giant oaf. Basically, since you never were going to be able to beat Aurelia, there was a good chance MGI was going to start questioning the Morrowville project value. MGI really thought you had a good shot at doing it, actually, but they don't know everything, I suppose. If you'd won, you would have gotten a huge media push, plus merchandise, and your team would have really had a guaranteed hit. But since you guys lost to Aurelia, it really put a wedge in that plan. So what? We lost, but we won't lose so easily the next time, I retort. Wonderful. Great. Except there may not be a next time. Now I admit this next part is hearsay and speculation on my part. But you can believe me when I say what I'm about to say has a good probability of happening. Get on with it! Declarna made a sound as she resumed. Well, your team was honestly made up of some back-of-the-shelf girls. No offense, but you guys aren't exactly the image MGI wants. Tiki's from a big group, but couldn't work there. Clarice is creepy and unmarketable, but she does have some decent power. Marzia is rebellious and has never conformed properly to MGI. And you, Sophia, you're fresh, so they could totally shape you into something great. Except you're mute, and that's something MGI is on the fence about. You're saying my lack of speech is my flaw worthy of calling me back of the shelf? Look, I don't know how much you know about marketing, but you're just a tough cookie to sell. There are certain types into that girl who can't say no archetype, but honestly, MGI doesn't want that type of girl around their girls. Plus, tons of the girls' toys have talking phrases built in, and obviously, yours would never be able to have that. It was just a marketing nightmare, okay? What does any of that have to do with warnings? I'm getting there, Declarna said, whiny. Gosh, forgive a girl who has no one but monsters to talk to for trying to get the most out of this opportunity. Look, bottom of the line is Marsville never had that much value to MGI. So now that you've shown you can't win the fight they thought you could, as well as you've lost Marzia, it just starts to make sense to abandon the project. Abandoned? Like we'd be split up and moved elsewhere? Declarna chuckled. No. Abandon as in they'll let Spawn overrun this town and leave you girls without your meds so you end up turning into Spawn, and are then used to prop another magical group up. Defeating you guys and stuff will make the next group have an easier valor to market them with. I stand frozen, unable to really comprehend what Declarna is trying to propose. It doesn't make any sense. MGI wouldn't write us off after one little loss. I know she's working with Aurelia. Obviously, this is just another lie and try to get to mess with my head. I don't say another word as I turn around and begin walking back towards the hallway. Declarna shouted after me. You don't have to believe me. Just keep it in the back of your mind if anything suspicious ever starts happening. Whatever. I turn to the corner and enter the elevator, returning to the dorm floor. I'm not going to fall for this. I'm not. Yet I can't stop imagining them abandoning us. When I get back to my room, I slip a handful of pills from my pill bottle into my colored pencil box without really thinking about it. You can never be too safe, right? End of chapter 18.